Hello, how are you? So, I got 7 comments on my video yesterday. I just checked in, and wow, that means I have to make another video because people are watching me, and that's good, I guess. I got some great news yesterday. Also, I'm going to be teaching a dance class again. I used to teach some pretty big dance classes in ballroom dancing, and the studio that I've attended for a long time, they asked me, "Would you mind teaching again?" And I'm going to get the best spot on Saturday night before the dance, so I'll have a lot of students. So I'm really excited about that, and it's good to be getting back involved in some of the things that I had sort of missed out on for the last nearly year and a half because of COVID and tinnitus and anxiety and lack of sleep and body problems because I wasn't sleeping and had anxiety. And I still have a couple problems left, but I'm okay. I'm doing all right. So, when you're in the middle of the sort of the crisis of the tinnitus or whatever it is, it can take maybe a long time, several months to get better, and it's not easy to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm here to provide a little bit of light to let you know that even though maybe you've been dealing with it for a few months or hopefully not more than a year, it's going to get better, and you're going to naturally get better. But sometimes you can get stuck in a pattern where it's just hard to break out of. So I'm also here to try to help you break out of that pattern. When you have anxiety, I know some of you even, I'm not sure if I pronounced this right, some of you even have hyperacusis, where exposure to loud noise can be very debilitating, where it's, I can't stand it, it's so loud. Um, River of Wellness brought that up. I do have hyperacusis, but not only in extreme situations like a really loud bass sound where there's a car driving next to me. I remember one time oh my God, I couldn't handle it. I had to pull the car off the road, or I couldn't pull the car off the road. I just stopped the car in the middle of the road, and I waved the person with the bass stereo past me, and they were like really angry at me, and it was just everything reached a stage where I was just, my heart rate was racing, and I couldn't deal with it. So I think I know what you go through, but I'm not as easily set off by that as some people, I'm sure. But anyways, back to I'm here to try to help you to get through the crisis stage and more into the living stage again that you used to enjoy before, and it's very much possible. So you just have to continue to recognize that this anxiety that you get from it is what you have to address. And how do you do that? Well, you need a plan. You need a plan of what you're going to think about from moment to moment throughout the day. If you have to, write it down. And if you don't do it exactly, that's okay, but try. Um, when you're left to think for yourself, by yourself, and you don't have anything else to do besides think about how awful things are, that's when you really got to look out, because you're just reinforcing that pattern. I know, like you've got this sound and it's not going away, but you've got to work to try your best to find something you can think about, even if maybe you've been dealing with a situation where you're almost 99% of the time thinking about the tinnitus. We got to knock off a few percent. And then if we can knock off a few percent, we can knock off a few more percent until you're thinking about some other things more. So you've got to plan what you're going to do with your time, and hopefully plan some things where you just sort of have to go with the flow. I remember I wasn't just dealing with tinnitus, but I had just had COVID, and I had been inside my room with no human contact for 3 months. No, excuse me, 3 weeks. 3 weeks, and then very little human contact for several weeks after that. And I started going for walks, And I would encourage you to do that a few times a day if you can. Just start going for walks. You can choose when is the best time for you, and see if you can do something where you might end up meeting some people. What happened to me, one of the first kind of breakthroughs that I had was there was some people out in the field playing a game that's kind of like soccer and kind of like tennis, called tennis soccer, where you kick the ball over the net. And I'm terrible with soccer, or maybe I'm a little better now. But I hadn't been around people very much, and I just kind of sat and watched them. And they started talking to me, and I started talking to them, and they said, "Well, why don't you come try?" And I'm like, "I can't." It's like it doesn't. They're like, "It doesn't matter. Just come play with us." So I did, and I got so focused in on learning this new game and trying to interact with the other players and try to, whenever the ball came to me, to try my best to kick it back over the net or to bounce it so someone else could. And I kind of had a good time. And so that's what I'm kind of trying to get at, is what can you do to get yourself involved in something where you've sort of got to do that thing, and you really have to do your part to maybe it is some sort of a team sport or something where you have to talk to somebody. Another one that I did where I was even worse off than that, every night I went and took a language lesson online. I was taking Chinese lessons. Choose your language, but there's something called Amazing Talker. And there's another one called italki, italki.com. And those you can sometimes get an instant lesson. So if you're really having a bad time, you don't have to tell them about your problems, but you can find somebody who will teach you for anything for half an hour or an hour, and just get involved in that lesson. Yeah, and that's what you got to do, is find something that you're gonna have to focus on, and they start talking to you in another language. 他们开始用另一个语言，你需要专注. I just said they start talking to you in another language, and you have to pay attention, and maybe you can catch a little bit of it. And before you know it, your attention is on something else besides the tinnitus. So find that thing that you can go to. Find several things that you can go to, and then start writing it down and planning your day of what you're going to do. I sometimes like driving in the car. If you have a car, hopefully, and there's road noise, you got to pay attention to the driving. Of course, be careful. But just think of what are you going to do to get yourself on something else, and then we got to increase the percentage of the time throughout the day that you were not thinking about tinnitus because you were so busy thinking about that other thing. So do that, find it, and increase the percentages. And get into a habit of doing those things, and then add on to it, and you can get better. Okay, that's my video for today. I hope it was good. I try to say cool words, and I don't know if it seems to be working for some people. So I'll try to keep on going. Thank you. Have a good day.